Well, good evening. We're continuing now. We mentioned something about judgment and the judges and the conscience being our judge, and I think we want to take up another question that arises. First of all, I want to mention that the editor of Synaxis Press, I just work there, I'm not the editor. The editor of Synaxis Press has told me that the audio of the whole series that we had done on Introduction to the Orthodox Faith is available from Synaxis Press on CDs, and that the series on the Old Testament is About You is also being placed on audio CD. Now, evidently not the video version, but anyway, the audio just as it is on these broadcasts. So if anybody's interested, I suppose you could send an email to Synaxis Press or look at the website. Anyway, the question about judging and judges. There are a number of the Holy Fathers who tell us that our conscience is our actual or only judge. Now, among those, St. Ambrose of Milan, St. Cyril of Jerusalem, St. Afrahat the Persian, and others. The thing we need to understand, first of all, is that the Orthodox Church does not accept a radical dualism. We do not accept a dualism between soul and body. That is, the soul is not the whole person. The soul is a part of the person, and the body is the other part of the person. So that when the Holy Fathers will tell us that the soul cannot be judged without the body, it raises sometimes a question. Let's say Gregory Palamas tells us that man became a living human being when body and soul were united together. When God is said to have made man according to his image, the word man means neither the soul by itself nor the body by itself, but the two together. And I think it's extremely important for us to remember this. St. Anastasios of Sinai tells us, accordingly, when the soul is separated from the entire body, it is no longer able to operate because it operates through the members of the body. The soul is not a prisoner of the body, or the body is not a prison of the soul, waiting to be released. And St. Justin, the philosopher and martyr, says, "For as in the case of a yoke of oxen, if one or another is loosed from the yoke, neither of them can effect anything, if they be unyoked from their communion. For what is man but the rational animal, composed of body and soul? Is the soul by itself a man? No, but only the soul of a man. Would the body be called man? No, but it is called the body of a man. Then neither of these two by itself is the man, but that which is made up of the two together is called man." We could go on with many of the Holy Fathers. St. Photius the Great, when he was condemning Origen, or refuting Origen, whom, by the way, some people consider a father of the Church, like Augustine. Origen and Augustine were not fathers of the Church. St. Photius the Great says, "The name man, according to the most truthful and natural expression, applies to neither the soul without its body, nor the body without its soul, but to that composition of soul and body made into a unique form of beauty. But Origen says that the soul alone is the man, as did Plato." And we have even heretics within the Orthodox Church will say the same thing. But soul alone is not, nor is the body alone the man. St. Titus of Bostra says, but though the soul is immortal by grace, yet it is not the person. And so the Apostle does not consider death to differ in any way from destruction. This is very important to us, to remember that, and to look at all of the Holy Fathers in connection with the relationship between the soul and the body. Because, we're presented very often with this heretical doctrine of the aerial toll houses. And yes, it is a heresy. It's not simply a mistake, and it's not simply a pagan teaching or a piece of folk religion that has drifted into the Orthodox Church. And I'll explain to you why precisely we have to say that it's heretical. When it was used as a metaphor, it was a metaphor. When people claimed it was a doctrine of the Church, then, of course, it immediately became a heresy. And this is the course and ground of justice, that since the actions of the body and the soul are common to both, for what the soul has conceived, the body has carried out. It is not inconsistent that each should come into judgment alone, for it would seem almost inconsistent that the mind, or the soul, guilty of a fault shared by another, should be subjected to penalty, and the flesh, the author of the evil, should enjoy rest, and that alone should suffer which had not sinned alone, or should attain to glory, not having fought alone with the help of grace. St. Ambrose of Milan. St. Irenee of Lyon. For it is just that in the very same condition in which they, body and soul, toiled and were afflicted, being proved in every way by suffering, that they should receive the reward of their suffering. And again, Titus of Bust, writing against the Manichaeans, cites the words of St. John Damascene, "For the soul cannot enjoy anything, or possess, or do anything, or suffer, except it be together with the body, being the same as it was created in the beginning, and thus it enjoys that which is proper to it. The state is lost at death through the disobedience of Adam, and again through the obedience of Christ. Through hope it receives in the resurrection again the state of being a person." Now, what about this idea that aerial demons, who evidently St. Athanasius the Great didn't know what he was talking about when he said that Christ cleared the air of the demons and cleared their malice and broke their power. But some tell us that the demons can judge the soul, and not only judge the soul, but if they find it guilty of some petty little sin, even a sin which it did not know was a sin, or some sin that the person forgot to say to a priest in confession, he cannot be forgiven, it says, unless he has said this sin to a priest, which of course changes the whole doctrine of what sin is, that he can be seized and dragged down to hell. Of course, the teachers of the toll houses don't explain how that can be when hell doesn't exist yet and won't exist till the second coming. But St. Mark of Ephesus says, "Indeed, since they are incomplete, and as it were cut in half, the soul and the body, being bereft of their bodies, how could they attain those rewards?" And this is the course and ground of justice, that since the actions of body and soul are common to both, for what the soul is conceived, the body is carried out. For it would seem inconsistent that the soul, guilty of a fault shared by another, should be subjected to penalty, and the flesh, the author of the evil, should enjoy rest. Now, we could go on with very many other quotes, but we'll take them up later, and if any of you are interested, I'll send you a reading list of the Holy Fathers, where you can confirm that the soul cannot be judged without the body. Now, we talk about what's called sometimes a partial judgment, evidently because only a part of the person is present. And what this so-called partial judgment consists in immediately when the soul departs from the body is that the conscience is fully aware of the condition and state in which the soul is, and the conscience is testifying and knows what the destiny of that soul is in the resurrection. That's exactly what this so-called partial or particular judgment is about. But the soul cannot be judged, cannot be taken to heaven or to hell without the body. And this is a universal teaching of the Holy Fathers, found in one after another of them. The toll house teaching is false.